All right, so, stimulus hopes, vaccine progress, all helping out stocks. And we close out the session on Wall Street and the week at all-time highs. The Dow up almost 250 points at higher than 30,200. The S&P and the NASDAQ new record highs as well. And for more now on the stimulus talks as they progress and the latest on the jobs numbers that we reported on earlier, let's bring in Brian Morganstern, the White House Deputy Press Secretary, Deputy Communications Director as well, live in the North Lawn. Brian, good to have you on the program with us. I guess the whole idea, which we were talking about at the start of the show today, is that you have a jobs report that still shows progress in coming out of the pandemic, but with slower jobs growth, the talk in Washington now is that we need more stimulus. So where is the White House now? Is the president all in, for example, on the $908 billion bill that seems to be gaining some steam floating around D.C.?
So, Connell, thanks for having me on. The president knows we should get another package. The jobs report actually shows some optimism. We are having a V-shaped recovery, a strong recovery. There are certain sectors that need some help, small businesses. That's why we should re-up the PPP. We've been saying that for months. A little more unemployment insurance supplement. We've been saying that for months. Helping get schools open so parents can go back to work. That's very important. We've been saying that for months. Helping restaurants, hotels, the hospitality industry that have been particularly hard hit. These are all important things. These remain our priorities. We're supportive generally of Senator McConnell's efforts because his efforts have been targeted at solving problems directly related to the coronavirus, and it's priorities that the president has been emphasizing for quite a while. I think what we're seeing now, the parties moving a little bit closer together. Unfortunately, Speaker Pelosi has showed her hand that what we had been saying all along, she was withholding a deal for political purposes, seems quite clear. She is saying the quiet part out loud at this point, saying now she's willing to negotiate because the election's over. It's unfortunate to have that just laid bare for the American people, but the president's priorities remain helping people get through this time until the vaccines are widely distributed enough so that we can get back to normal and people can get back to their livelihoods.
Those specific priorities that you outlined there as you were going through what the White House would like to see in the bill, I believe those are all in the bill that I referenced, the 9 senators putting it forward with the members of the House Problem Solvers Caucus. Is there anything in their bill or what you've heard them talk about that you do not want to see in, that's a no-go, no non-starter for the Trump White House?
There's some, certain differences, I think, and the numbers, I believe the great Larry Kudlow referenced them as, there's nothing holy about them. So I don't want to bless or unbless a specific number. I will say Senator McConnell's efforts are really something that we've been in discussions about with Kevin McCarthy and others, and we're hopeful on that. We know there's been a robust debate about state and local aid and making sure that whatever is in a package is directly related to the coronavirus and not bailing out local governments or state governments that perhaps had mismanagement unrelated to the coronavirus. That remains, I think, a part of the dispute. Also, the level of unemployment insurance. We don't want to disincentivize employment, especially now that we've got it down 6.7%. It's lower, I believe, than at any point in the first Obama term. So, I mean, it's still a good number. We know parts of the economy still need help. 10 million people, we still want to get back to the pre-pandemic numbers. So there's some ways we need to help, but we don't want to disincentivize employment. So that's another point there.
Right. And you made the last point. That's understood. You made that last point that we still have a ways to go to get back to where we were when the economy was strong pre-COVID. And that means it's all about this virus now and getting it under control. I want to ask you directly about the president's role in that here at the close of his administration. I know the vice president today had an event at the CDC that was dealing with virus response before campaigning in Georgia. What has the president been doing in terms of responding to the virus on a day-to-day basis? We haven't heard much from him on that. Was there anything, for example, in his schedule today, meetings he attended, that dealt with either the economic response or the health response to the virus? And if so, what could you tell us about that?
Sure, Connell. The president remains vigilant. He's briefed routinely, and the vice president, of course, runs the task force on the day-to-day operations point, and the president's well aware of what's going on, making sure that we are getting the help where it's needed. So, for example, Connell, we have teams deployed throughout the country, ensuring that there's adequate hospital capacity. We are in constant contact, FEMA and other representatives from the task force, Dr. Birx and others, speaking with state, local authorities and public health authorities, making sure that we're proactive.
The president
about
personally
getting PPE.
involved in those conversations?
The president is briefed regularly when there's decision points. Obviously, he makes those and he gives instruction where it's needed. The public-facing part of this sometimes is less important than actually getting people the help they need on the ground. And of course, the president's has done speeches and events to emphasize our vaccine progress. We may hear more from him about that next week because it's so critical to getting our country back fully reopened, to getting these vaccines to every corner of the country, every zip code of the country. He's committed to doing that, and Operation Warp Speed has assured us that we're getting to that point. This is really great news for America. It's a cause for optimism that the future is very bright. We're getting through a little bit of a tough time here. Need to wear your mask, need to distance, be smart. We don't want to close down businesses. And soon we'll get to a point where the vaccines are distributed widely enough that we can get our economy fully reopened.
Already over time, Brian, we thank you for your time today. Can you assure the supporters of the president and Americans in general, though, that President Trump will encourage Republicans to vote in these Senate runoffs when he appears in Georgia over the weekend? What will his tone, what will his message be? Real quick.
Yes, Connell, this is critical because the policy implications are really important. So putting the Republicans in control of the Senate into the future will make sure that we have some rational policy making here. The Democrats are trying to take over both houses of Congress to implement things like the Green New Deal, pack the courts, end the filibuster. Really some radical stuff, and having the Republicans in control of the Senate is very important. The president knows that, and he's going to communicate that.
He will do that. Okay, we're going to talk more about those elections later in the show. Brian, thank you. Brian Morganstern live from the White House.